Hey everyone, welcome back to Rhythm Railroad. So this is part 3 of my grain facility scene, and part 2 was filmed yesterday, so I've made quite a bit of progress here. Uh, Today after work, I came down here and I started really hitting this hard. But actually, the funny thing is that it's not a lot of progress. It's just that a little paint goes a long way, and a little foliage goes a long way as well. So basically, all I did was add a little camouflage tan paint to the pink foam, and then I just kind of hit it with the dark brown flat camouflage paint just to kind of give it some dirt look. I mean, obviously, all this stuff's got to be touched up, and the road's going to be a little like on the gray side, so it looks more like gravel or whatever. And I'll probably add a little texture to it with sand or ballast or something. But just the color contrast here makes this thing look a lot more complete. Um, Also, I've been kind of resituating the way the bins are. Like I kind of like that one is pushed back a lot further than the other one. Kind of makes like a little triangle here. At least that's what I've seen in some grain facilities. They're not necessarily lined up. I think it's because the piping that comes off the top can't be in line if you're going to use the pipes. I think if you're going to have a conveyor belt, like from one to the next, where it's a straight path, then that would be the way you would do that. But I think this is more interesting looking. It gives it more of an illusion of depth here when you do a shot like that. But anyways, so yeah, so I added a little paint and I moved the building a little further that way because even though it was clearing this bend here, I tried a longer grain car, like a 4-bay, similar to this, and I was rubbing up a little bit on the corner there. So I just shifted it over a little bit, and it's not a big deal. It's not like I need that much space over there for the truck, the shed that I'm going to be putting there. So, but you can see how this is really taking shape, and the road obviously is super rough right now. I gotta sand it down and paint it, but now at least there's some kind of contour on the sides. Obviously, I painted in between the road and the track here, so I had to mask the track in order to not get paint all over the ballast and ties. So I tried to go as far as I could. Um, Obviously, this is not dry yet, so that's why I couldn't paint it. Um, and I did actually elevate this a little bit because there was a little bit of a hump there. So I just basically took the plaster and stretched it out a little further, and that kind of eased the hump. So, and then the other thing I did is I added plaster cloth here with some foam and paper towels and stuff under there just to give it a little bit of like a hill effect. You can see I just kind of stuffed everything down there with the pink foam. And then I continued the road through. That's masonite board from here to here. But then over here I just decided to just use the plaster to make the road. Since it's such a weird little hill there. It's going to have to go kind of like this rather than like straight up. So that's why I did that. This obviously a big old hole there. It looks like a shoe print. But I have to wait until this layer dries so then I can go back and mold it a little bit better. But while I was at it, I did carve out the gaps by the rails. You can see it there. See how the plaster's kind of lifted a little bit. And that's fine. That'll get sanded out without any problems. I've done that in the past. And then the tape is just creating a border, so I'll just peel that up and you'll get a nice straight line for the roads. So right now it looks sloppy, but that's not how it will look eventually. So yeah, so I covered all this so I can paint. This I'm not going to, I was about to plaster over this also. Oh, by the way, I took the ballast out. You can see here. I picked it all out. It was actually easier than I thought. I just took a regular flathead screwdriver like this. And what I did is I went in on a little bit of an angle so that the point of the flathead, hit the ballast first. And then I just kind of rocked it this way to penetrate the ballast, and then I just went like this a little bit in the center of the ties, just a little bit without even touching the ties, and that broke most of it away or loosened everything up. And then what it is, I just started doing this kind of motion, and that started to carve away at it without putting a lot of pressure. You don't have to go, like crazy with a lot of muscle, and it came up pretty fast. I mean, it was not perfect, but I tried to at least create some kind of gaps here. See this one here? Just by doing that, just kind of picks it up a little bit. One mistake I made, and I want to put this out there so nobody makes the same mistake I made. I got impatient because, I want to get this done. And I had just plastered this, a little skim coat there. And I started doing the ballast, and all the ballast started getting into the plaster and started to stick. So before I actually got, stuck in there, I had to take a vacuum and very carefully suck the ballast off the plaster. And you have to get so close to the plaster itself that you got to be careful that the vacuum doesn't actually suck into the masonite there, and then you create a giant hole. Luckily I was able to control it enough, and I didn't get any of that going on. But I picked up most of the ballast. There might be a little bit left here and there, but it doesn't hurt. It's like one little thing here. It doesn't hurt the texture either. Like I said, I want to make this rough looking. So it might actually help it. So yeah, so now when I put the plaster on here, it'll actually grab it within the ties here, and I'll have something to grab onto. So, but I didn't want to continue it because this isn't glued down yet, and I'm not sure if this is going to be exactly there. I had the intention of bringing this benchwork out a little bit more, so I'm not sure if I'm going to bring the track with it, or if I'm just going to make more scenery out here rather than more trackage. So that's why I didn't actually come through. Obviously over here I have to put some kind of masonite or some kind of transition material. Or I might do the same thing I did over there and just do it with plaster straight up before I come across to here. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out now. Now it's starting to look like a scene. And I can only imagine once you put all the foliage and bushes and, anything that might be overgrowing, weeds and whatever. Not to mention all the conveyors and all the extra piping and whatever it is that, grain facilities use. Somebody asked about the chute or the pipe that goes from there to the shed. I just haven't put it up yet. I have it. And there's one for the other side for trucks, but you're not even going to see that, so I'm not going to use it there. But yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of things missing still, all the details, all the filters and stuff that go up here. And I also have a tower that's supposed to be just a little higher than this. It's just like around here somewhere. And that's supposed to be what brings the grain up and then into the center of this through a pipe to fill it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a second one of these because I always see them in pairs. Put it right next to it, and then I'll put the loading shed here. Or I might even sneak it in the back. I might keep these a little separated so you can see the shed in the back. Actually, I like that better. And then this will just be a parking lot for turning around or doing whatever maneuver is needed. And maybe I'll put a little office or something, some kind of maintenance building, whatever, just to fill it up and give it more interest there. And all this will be blended in better, obviously. This is going to be more like pavement before it transitions into like dirt. And I might even carry the pavement over a little bit here for for this loading. But from what I've seen, a lot of these facilities are more just, they're right on the dirt or gravel or something like that. It's not like a perfectly paved road by any means. So that's where I'm at. So yeah, next step is going to be, hopefully, to start creating that back retaining wall, because I don't want to, again, the structures, every time I put the structures up, I have to keep taking them down because I have stuff in the back that I have to make. But I did have this thing that I made out of foam and plaster and what's that stuff called? Sculpt-A-Mold. It's just basically a wedge that I made out of the pink foam, and then I wrapped it in plaster cloth, and then I just made it a little bit more coarse with the sculptor mold, but it actually fit back there pretty well. So my plan is to make it kind of like a hillside, kind of on the steep side, and then trees in the back. And what that'll do is it'll add more green tones in the back to kind of break it up a little bit, and also to pull the whatever's up here with trees and stuff. It kind of connects it a little bit more, and I think that's what brings a scene into play, kind of like this, where the green kind of continues, so it pulls you in, and you see the trees all the way in the back there. So you don't need that many trees up here. It's just your eye kind of goes all the way to the back to look for that. So actually, now that I think of it, this would have been nice to have on the other side, behind there. But then again, I think it's overkill to have like a grain facility and then another one right behind it. So I'm definitely looking to do a photo backdrop back there, and just to kind of, again, just pull the eye further back. But there will be trees in front of it to make it look like it's part of, this big field or whatever is going to be back there. I got to look around for what's available. It would be nice if I can get a nice long one from like here, because there's going to be buildings here. So from like this point on, where it seems like it's like a really far away kind of field, open, with a few trees here and there, and maybe farmland and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, this is supposed to be Albany, so I was also thinking of making it like almost like a port scene on the other side, where I got a backdrop that looks like just water in the back, or maybe some kind of port scene with a few buildings and stuff. But that's going to get tricky to make that convincing that there's water on the other side of the tracks there. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at part 4.